Hello and welcome to my video today. Hi, I'm Matt, and I created the Ocean Views channel as an offshoot of my Tesla YouTube channel that I started back in 2018. I've been an EV owner since 2011, and I still have my early VIN Tesla Model 3. October 26th, 2023 is when my Fisker Ocean arrived at my house. It was an exciting event, but not for the faint of heart over the last 12 months. Today is my 1-year update as a Fisker Ocean owner, so let's get started. I'm going to start off with the delivery of the car. My car arrived 1 year ago inside an enclosed trailer and dropped off in front of my house. While it was a bit dirty, it looked like it was in pretty good condition. I did have an issue with the doggy windows not working, as many other owners have had with that situation back then with deliveries. Other than a few paint issues that were fixed when a mobile tech visited, I also got the California mode working about 2 months later. Since that time, the car's had its up and downs with regard to software. I think at this point, things have leveled out to the point where the software is what the car should have been when it was delivered. But nothing kept me from driving the vehicle, and it never once stranded me, which is something I know has happened to other people. So I'm appreciative to having a good working car. Here we have a tour of the outside of my Fisker Ocean. I think it's the best attribute of the car. The thing I like the most is the exterior and interior. I think it looks beautiful. I think it was a well-designed car as far as the appearance. The particular parts used in the car may not have been as thought through or tested as they should have been. Door handles and key fobs. I don't need to make any more comments about that. But otherwise, yes, the exterior of the car I think is beautiful. Just going around it in this 360 view here, you can tell that a lot of thought was put into this. And I think it still looks unique, and I think is the best looking SUV, not even EV. I think it's the best SUV that's out there. So, kudos to the design. That's the one thing that was done really well by Fisker. Some of the things I had done to the car, about 2 months later, after the delivery, I had paint protection film applied to the front of the car, all across the hood and the fenders and a lot of the bumper area and some parts of the A-pillar and C-pillar. So I think that has helped a lot. I'm a firm believer of PPF. I've had it on 2 other vehicles, and I think it's great for keeping the car clean and avoiding rock chips and having to repair the paint on the car. I also had ceramic coating applied to the whole exterior of the car, and that has worked well too. I just washed it this week for the first time in a while, and it still looks beautiful. The paint looks really good. Next, I had tinted windows installed, and I think that looks good. They're only a 30% tint, since that's the max required by my state. I couldn't go any darker, but I think they look pretty good. Here's some other things I had done. I had the mud flaps, aftermarket mud flaps, and the aero flaps installed. I think those look pretty good. I've also installed a emergency toolkit under the service lid by the hood. I've also had a DC port cover installed, and also a battery tender cable so I can charge up the car, and that's also accessible by the windshield. On the interior of the car, we have my new Apple CarPlay device that I think is working very nicely. I also have all-weather floor mats on the front, rear seats, and the trunk. And the all-weather trunk mat is really nice to have. I've really felt that that is a good addition to the car. I've also installed a T-box fuse switch for the front in case I ever need to switch that fuse on and off. That happens in case your navigation ever gets stuck, so that's a good thing to have. I added a fabric to the charging area of the car. I took out that rubber mat and put in the fabric. Looks much nicer and works better with the charging on the phones. I also got storage bins under the seat and inside the armrest. I added a doggy bed for the rear for our dog, our puppy, which you may have seen in some of the videos. And I also added an organizer for the trunk area. So it's like one of those type of elastic storage things that you can put between the sides of the trunk, and you can put stuff in there. So that's pretty nice too. Another thing I plan to add soon is a dash cam. So I'll be doing a video on that, and that should be coming at some point soon. All right, I'm now inside the car. You can see my driver's screen and the center screen. Why don't I just go into the charging screen right now and go to trips. And then you can see how many miles I've driven so far this year. I'm at 11,380 miles. My average energy efficiency is 0.32 kilowatt hours per mile. And total energy used is 3,619 kilowatt hours. So that's pretty useful information to have. I usually drive about 12,000 miles a year on my vehicles. And probably the first couple months that I owned the car, I probably didn't drive it as much as I usually do. So that probably is the reason why I'm not at 12,000 miles currently. And also my driving just tends to vary too, depending on a lot of different things. And since I have two different vehicles that I'm using, sometimes I use one more than the other. And currently my Tesla, I don't use very often at all right now. It is basically sitting in my driveway, and I try to start it up every month or so just to keep things running and do some updates. So that's basically the info on the trip screen. Going to Solar Sky right now. I am in the shade and it's cloudy right now, so there's no activity showing on here. I do have a total of 64 miles of total range added during this year, and that is 20 kilowatt hours. That's not very much for the solar panel to generate. However, I mostly park in my garage at home and also at work. So the majority of the time, the car is going to be inside and not getting any sun. Not that surprising. I have seen other owners that have much higher numbers for their Solar Sky. Some of them have, I would say, at least 6 times the amount that I have. Some people have gotten a huge amount if they leave their cars outside. Here's my charge screen. I usually charge between 80 and 90% when I plug the car in. That's my normal usage. I usually charge up to that amount, and then I'll drive it to about 50 or 60%, and then I'll charge it again. I charge up maybe 3 times a week, if that. So I don't plug in every night. There's some people that plug in every time they park their car. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. It's just not my normal usage pattern. And in my garage, I have 2 charging stations. I have one that is a full 40 amps and the other that is 24 amps. And I usually use the 24 amp one on my vehicle here. Even though the AC charge limit is 32 on this, it will get that 24. And as most people know, we don't get the full charge rate. It's usually a few amps less. There are some issues of not getting that full amount, but it really doesn't matter to me since I get all I need at a 24 amps. So not a big deal. Also, when charging, I push it up to 100% when I'm on trips. So that's not unusual. So if you're charging up to 100%, just make sure you don't leave it at that percentage for a long time. And then when it gets real low, on the other hand, below 20%, you don't want to leave it below that amount either for a long period of time. So on trips, I tend to charge it up to 100%, drive it down, and then when it gets low, I charge it back up. So it's not really that big a deal. Uh, Going through the software in the car, it seems to be pretty decent on 2.2. I really don't get many errors. Sometimes I do get some of the apps, like the music apps, will lock up and I'll have to restart. That has happened since I got the car. I've gotten kind of used to it. It happens every once in a while. So the music apps work pretty well. I like using the TuneIn Radio since I also have that on my Tesla, so I have the same account for both. I don't use Spotify and iHeartRadio as much. I really don't use radio at all. And then Bluetooth I'll use now a lot now that I have the Apple CarPlay device and that it is allows me to play Sirius XM, for example, through Bluetooth. As I said, GPS navigation is fine. I know a lot of people have issues with TomTom. It seems to work fine with me, especially on trips. I usually have two different things going on anyway. I'll usually have my phone with a better route planner or Google Maps running, as well as what's in the car. So I'm always, I even did that with my Tesla on long trips. I usually have two things going. So if there's any issues, it's pretty easy to take care of. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, the main screen here shows the navigation on top, the climate control, and also your music. This is fine. This is usually the screen that I usually have the car in when I'm driving. Unless I specifically need navigation, then I have that full screen up. HVAC screen, pretty normal. I did have my vents replaced last March, and the tech came, removed the whole panel, replaced the 4 modules and also the controller for it, and I haven't had a problem since. So my HVAC has been working very well. At that time, I also got my updates. I might as well talk about updates too. My car arrived with 1.10 in the end of October. I got the 1.11 update in December when I had my first service tech appointment where they fixed the things that need to be looked at with the car, such as the doggy windows and the California mode, along with some other things. I think it was paint and such. So once that was taken care of, the tech also installed the 1.11 update. So that was December. Then in March, I had an appointment to get the vents fixed. So when the tech was there, he updated me to 2.0. And so I've never had an OTA update until most recently with the 2.2 update. Never got 2.1, so I went straight from 2.0 to 2.2. So about a month ago, I got 2.2 as an over-the-air update. So the first time I've experienced that. The nice thing is I was in a 25-person group that was a test group, and I had about 24 hours notice before I was getting the update so I can plan it a little better. A lot of people right now, when they're waiting for an over-the-air update, it can occur at any time, and it is kind of frustrating that you can't schedule these or at least have some warning of when they're going to occur, and it is what it is. So that's basically the screens that I have here. The settings, most of these I have on default. And that's another thing is that you can't customize anything yet with for example, the driving modes and the regen and all that stuff, seats. All of that stuff is not connected to a profile, even though we do have profiles on the screen. They're not linked to anything at this point. So it's a little bit frustrating that we don't have that ability. Who knows? Maybe in the future we can get something that will lock in these profiles to have customized settings. Not, if it happens, it happens. That would be great. Otherwise, most of the over the last 12 months, there hasn't been much change in this menu here. The biggest thing have experienced is that we have the standby time that came out in 2.0, where you could adjust the standby time, which greatly helps the vampire loss situation, or at least when you have problems with the car that telltales on the driver's screen that you want to reset or something. By setting it to 10 minutes and 30 seconds, the car basically reboots every time you get in the car. So it's all fresh and you don't have to worry about issues like that. The other thing that was added just recently in 2.2 is the vehicle to load charging menu here, where you can turn on the exterior port or the trunk outlet. So that's been a very nice thing to have. Otherwise, all of these other menu things are pretty similar to what they were before. One thing that has improved is Bluetooth. Bluetooth is much better now than it was in the beginning. And just basically most of the, let's go to the driving assistance. FI Pilot, uh, you can go custom settings in that. It really doesn't make too much of a difference. In safety, there's a whole bunch of safety warning things, and I keep all those on. For the most part, for a while, I turned the lane departure assistant off, steering intervention. I did turn that off for a while, but recently I turned it back on, and it seems to be working fine. It nudges you back in the lane if it detects you're getting out of the center of the lane. So it seems to work good enough for me. So I have been seeing much less warnings on the driver's screen as far as errors. And you do sometimes see some errors for blind spot detection or the forward vision, or any of those things if you're in either blinding sunrise or sunset where the sun is coming directly and hitting the camera. You will get errors with that, but I also get errors on my Tesla in the same situation. And sometimes in the rain, you may get those errors, but I haven't noticed them very much at all with 2.2. So 2.2 has really helped in knocking down the number of errors that I've seen on the screens. And it's very infrequent that I see any issues now. So I can drive sometimes for a whole week without seeing anything on the screen to warn me. So that's about it for the software. I think we'll see with 2.2, that is the final Fisker update. So we're not going to see anything more from Fisker. If there is a 3.0 or 4.0 update at some point, it's going to be done by a third party, hopefully helped out by FOA. I'm sure there's going to be a cost associated with this. Uh, I think most owners are generally acceptable with getting some updates if it means getting some things that were promised, like the adaptive cruise control and one pedal driving and a few other things that shouldn't be too. Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. So those three things I think are the most important that drivers want to see in their vehicles in a future update. So if they can get those out with an update, I would gladly pay for it. And I'm sure most owners wouldn't mind doing that either. Another thing that may be coming up is how to deal with the T-Mobile internet in the car. I'm not sure how that's going to work yet, but if T-Mobile did get shut off, I could always use my phone to do a hotspot to the car so the car gets internet. So internet in the car for me, I don't think is that big a deal. There's alternative ways of getting that. As far as TomTom shutting off capabilities, I haven't seen that yet with traffic. Traffic still works for me. And I haven't been able to get updated maps through TomTom since I got the car. So we haven't had any updates for maps. So that is a bit disappointing. And if there was a way to get that, I would like it if it was available, if we could get updates from TomTom. So as far as that goes, we don't know exactly what's going to happen with TomTom, if there's going to be some sort of ongoing annual plan, if that may get offered. I guess we'll see. So 2025 is going to have a lot of, I think, new things for owners to look at as far as things that FOA is going to be working on and what happens after the liquidation. So I guess stay tuned for that. All right, so what's next for the car, my particular car? One thing I must say is that the 12-volt battery is in okay condition right now. It is in the mid to lower 12-volt range. Most of the time, it seems to be working pretty well, especially now that 2.2 keeps the 12-volt battery better managed. I have not seen any 12-volt battery warnings on my car since before 2.0. It's been it hasn't been a problem in many months. So at some point, the 12-volt battery will get uh, degraded enough that I'll need to replace it. I already have ordered a replacement 12-volt battery in my garage. I'll have it sitting and charged up, waiting for when I need to replace it. I can swap it out, no problem. So that will be something that will happen either this winter or the springtime. We'll see when it needs to get done, and then I'll take care of that. As far as other things, I'm waiting for the recalled water pump and the recalled door handle check. Those two things are the only physical things that need to be done right now. There were other recall items, and those were done through the over-the-air updates and taken care of. But those two things are I'm looking forward to. Once I get service in my area, I'll be having those looked at. And if anything else needs to get done, hopefully I can get local service to take care of those things. And that's about it. There's really not much as far as maintenance goes. I am going to do a maintenance video at some point in the next month or so, discussing what you need to do with the vehicle at the 1 year mark or 2 year mark or 3 year mark. It should be pretty minimal, especially since EVs don't require as much maintenance. For example, the fluids should last quite a while. The brake pads should last quite a while also. The only thing I need to look at for, I guess, for the coming year is air filter for the cabin. There is none available yet. I think there's some research on the company that makes them, and hopefully that will be available sometime this year. I usually change out the cabin air filters once every year to 2 years, depending on the situation. So right now, I think the last time I looked at the air filter itself was when the vent exchange was happening, and the filter looked clean to me, so I didn't notice any need for that. So I can wait till later in the year before I need to address that. Otherwise, as far as maintenance goes, rotate the tires. That is something you need to check. The tire wear, check every 1,000 miles or so. Make sure things are not getting abnormal wear where you would need maybe a alignment or something like that done. Just make sure the wear is even. And then when the difference between the front and the back tires is enough, you rotate the tires. I rotated mine last month. I should be good. Oh, as far as tires go, I have, just what, under, uh, I guess 12,000 something miles on the tires. And I think they can go another 8,000. I think I can get about 20,000 miles out of the tires, which is not too surprising. OEM tires tend to be on the weak side. My first set of Tesla tires, I got 22,000 miles out of, and the second set of tires on my Tesla, I got almost 40,000 miles. So the tires make a big difference. So switching out the tires to a different brand or a different model of tire probably makes sense. Uh, I guess we'll see what's available as far as tires go. Right now, it's kind of limited since the 22-inch size tire is, not very common. So there's not a whole lot of replacements for that. Hopefully, that will increase over time since there is the great wheel inflation going on. Tires and wheels for cars tend to be getting bigger every year. I remember 20 years ago when I got 17-inch wheels for my car, those were considered huge. And then it went to 18 to 19 to 20 to 21 and now 22. So yeah, so they keep getting bigger, and hopefully, more options will be available for when people need to replace those tires. That's about it on my side as far as maintenance goes for the next year. There shouldn't be much involved. And like I said, I'm going to make a video on that covering those topics. I want to start by talking about the things I love about the car and the things I hate about the car and also the in-between things. Let me start by saying I love how the car drives. It is so solid, and the acceleration is great. The handling is great. The overall feel of the car feels like a European SUV. And I should know because I also have a Volvo XC60, which is a very nice SUV, and it feels very similar to that. I also love California mode. Obviously, during most of the time in North Carolina, weather is pretty decent here, and I can open up all the windows and get that fresh air, almost convertible feeling. That is pretty awesome. So California mode is definitely something I have enjoyed. Another thing I was not expecting to love as much as I thought when I got the car is the Malibu interior. These seats are so comfortable, and also the fabric that it uses and the faux leather that it has on the trim is, I must say, it is so easy to keep clean. In the past year, I've just barely wiped down the seats with microfiber cloths, and they are super good. I mean, I don't have any issues with, sometimes Alcantara can get worn or have issues with it when it gets rubbed the wrong way or whatever. But I have not had any issues with the Alcantara seats. They've been beautiful and worked well with the car. So hopefully that keeps on going because yeah, I must say they're great. One of the new things I really like is the ability for do V2L using that charge port adapter. You can charge things outside the car. This will come in handy if we lose power in our house. I need to run one of our refrigerators that's in our garage. Boom, I can hook a cord up to that and run my garage off the car, and super easy. And it will keep on working for hours and hours and hours, and should be very reliable. Next, I'm going to go for the things that are kind of blah or meh, is the solar roof. The solar roof hasn't been as exciting as I thought it would be as far as energy use or energy gathering. It just hasn't really been a big deal for me. And I think I would have preferred to have a clear glass roof versus the solar panels up top. So that is, if I had my choice, I wouldn't have optioned it in the car. But since this is the one and it came with it, I had no choice. So solar, I just would have rather taken the money that that option would have cost and just put it on my house. Uh, so yeah, so that's the math thing about that. Hollywood mode. Hollywood mode where you turn the screen horizontally. I I've only used it a couple times just to test. I've never used it on when I charge the car when I'm on trips. It seems to be I charge anywhere from 10 minutes to 20 minutes, and I'm usually in and out of the convenience store getting food or going to the restroom. By the time I get back, the car's already charged. So I really never have time to watch anything on the screen for Hollywood mode. So yeah, I haven't really been using that. Another math thing is boost mode. From everything I've seen, boost mode just adds a tiny bit of extra performance and is not really worth the extra time it takes to put the car stop the car and turn the boost mode on and do all that. I find if I'm in hyper mode, it gets me as fast as I want to get. So and also the limitation of boost mode of 500 uses is kind of off-putting too. I don't know, maybe the OC&D in me is not wanting me to use it. It is what it is. Now I come to the things that I hate about the car, and hate is maybe not about the car itself, but maybe the situation that we're in right now. Number one is the lack of a warranty. Since the company is gone, I have no warranty. I have no way of getting anything repaired. Uh, at cost, for free basically. Your warranty is gone. So that is the biggest bummer that I've had for the past 12 months. Also, no phone is a key. So basically having an app on the phone and allowing you to have access to get in the car and start the car and run it from the phone would have been a great thing. It may be coming, maybe from a third party, but right now it's not active, and it is kind of sad that we don't have that. I may have mentioned before, but personal profiles don't save the settings. So that is kind of a big miss for me. And I explained that just previously, so I don't need to go into any more detail with that. No one pedal driving. It's getting close now with the hold mode. Since we got hold mode, I do like that, but it's still not one pedal driving. I don't know. Once you have one pedal driving, it's really hard to give it up. I know some people don't like heavy regen on their cars, but I do, and one pedal driving to me is awesome. Another thing I'm missing is the no adaptive cruise control. I really miss having that on trips. It would make trips so much nicer, and I don't even need ADAS, self-driving, or even pseudo self-driving autopilot type of thing. I hardly use autopilot on my Tesla at all, and I do use it on trips, but around town I never use it. But if I had adaptive cruise control in the ocean, I think it would make trips so much easier. So that's, oh, I wish it had that. And I guess another big bummer is all of the things that were promised to the Fisker Ocean One owners, that special package of things that we're supposed to get. We were supposed to get a charge card of $1,000. We were supposed to get an upgrade to the computer, entertainment center computer. We were supposed to get a set of new tires. We were supposed to get a whole bunch of stuff. Obviously, that's all gone now, so that is very disappointing. I don't need to go into more disappointments about the company itself. I think plenty of other YouTube channels go into ad nauseum detail about the plight of Fisker as a company and all the rotten things that this has caused for the owners, so I don't need to dwell on that. I am generally a positive person and like to look at the positive things in life and what things I can control and improve myself. I do. And for the Fisker Ocean, I've been trying my best to help other owners out. And anytime I hear of something that I think is a great idea, I try to present that on YouTube for other owners. And hopefully, everybody gets something out of this because we're all in this together. And I'd like everybody to partake in the enjoyment of this car when it is working. And that is another thing I want to say, is that there are people I have met in person that have had their car bricked on them and they haven't been able to drive the car for a month or two. My heart goes out to you, and it does suck. I don't know how I would deal with that if I couldn't drive my vehicle at all. I probably doing a whole different type of video right now about that. But my car is working well and driving well, and everything is working fine. So I am happy to drive my car. But I have not lost sight of the owners that do have issues with their cars. There are a lot of lemons out there from the delivery date. Some people have had issues with their car not running, having errors, being bricked, and so on. So yeah, I am not ignoring the fact that there are many owners out there that do have issues with their cars. And that said, I hope things get better for them. If this coming year we have more access to software updates, parts, and just maintenance in general, service in general, if people can get these things done locally where they live, I think that should make things better. So that's all I want to say about that right now. It is kind of depressing that there are so many people with problems with their cars, but I'm trying to stay positive, and I think things are going to work out for the better. So that's about it as far as the pluses and minuses that I think about the car. If there's anything that you can think of to ask me, as an owner, Or if you're an owner yourself and you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section below. And I read all the comments and I try to answer everything. I may not be able to do video requests for everything because I have a real job and I have a family, and it is tough to stay on top of everything, plus do the YouTube channel. So I hope you have some patience. It may take me some time to get back to you on answers for things, or doing some videos in the future with your good ideas. So keep those questions and comments coming. I really do appreciate it. Well, that about wraps up my video today on the 1-year update of being a Fisker Ocean One owner. In short, I love the car, even though it has, in the past year, failed to live up to the promises that the company had when I purchased it. There are many features that this car will not have. Unfortunately, that is something I'll just have to deal with. However, in the past 12 months, there have been features added due to the software updates, and the current 2.2 update is good enough that I feel that gives me confidence that I could take this car on long trips. In fact, I've done 3 long trips so far this year, as well as 2 shorter ones, and I plan to take more trips as time goes on. And talking about confidence, I believe the Fisker Owners Association and the people that have volunteered for it have spent their time and energy to make things better for Fisker owners like myself, and I'm very happy for that. I fully intend to keep this car as long as possible and to drive it like any other car I've owned. So that's about it. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.